All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our debut episode of Conversations with Curio, where we're going to get curious about different money topics and how they connect with life. My name is Jim Kantowski. I'm a founder and financial advisor at Curio Wealth, and I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. Jake Sadler. And today, we're going to discuss why curiosity is important in your financial planning, and curiosity is important with your financial advisor. And Jake, we are in 2024 when we're kicking this thing off, and we've started a new company, and the name is Curio, which directly relates to curiosity. So we had a lot of fun with this name, didn't we?
We had a lot of fun with the name. It was a journey to come up with a name, but I love where we settled.
Yeah, it was definitely a journey. And so I think it's worth mentioning because our name in our company is truly based on curiosity. Curio is the root word for curiosity, and also curate. And we were exploring this name for quite some time, and we were sort of struggling with it. We came up with a couple different options, and nothing really fit. And so you and I remember specifically had a really good conversation about sort of taking a step back and figuring out like who we are as people and as a company, or who we want to be, and then really who our clients are, and who we want to, what type of people do we want to work with. And I remember we put together a list, and what the different qualities were, and curiosity came up on both lists, and so we ended up with this Curio name. So that's really exciting to me, and I think everybody is inspired by that. And I think we have a vision and a mission we can get behind and move forward with.
Yeah, we really had to dive deeper into what we wanted the name to mean, because like on the surface, you just start listing off things that might just sound good. And then it just even if it sounds good, it just leaves you wanting for more. If there's no meaning behind it, you got to keep going. So we had some fun with it, but it was hard because we kept having to ask those questions. What do we want our name to mean? And it needs to mean something.
So I know sort of why I was really focused on this curiosity thing. I'd sort of gone through a little bit of a journey in my life, and I've always sort of liked learning and trying new things, and and been a curious person. I never really tied the word curious to who I was until, I guess, recently, maybe in the last 5 or 6 years, it sort of became apparent that it was really meaningful for me to sort of explore ways of doing things, and looking at things in a different way. But I guess what we're going to talk about today is like, why is curiosity so important within this financial services world that we live in? And so let me just start and just say, why should our clients be curious? I'm posing that question to you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think if it's for clients specifically, I think it kind of goes in some ways to what you were saying just a second ago on your personal journey to kind of come to know curiosity and how that fit within your life. Because I've really felt in a lot of ways, as I've thought more deeply about curiosity and what it means, I've really gotten the sense that curiosity as a word, it's kind of downplayed. And it's easy for some folks, especially when it comes to learning, to, in a way, turn their nose up at curiosity, right? Curiosity comes from a really genuine place, and it comes from a desire to learn. But I think too often it gets kind of assigned as a word that, curiosity is for children. Only children can be curious. They need to figure out the world. And once they figure out the way we do things, then they'll get it. They won't be curious anymore. And I feel like some of that has to do with kind of conformity. And it has to do with the idea of kind of expert, non-expert relationships, where an expert doesn't want a non-expert necessarily to be curious, right? Because the expert wants and needs to have all of the correct answers. In school, conformity to learning a rigid set of information without deviating from that. So we can, if for nothing else, be able to test everyone along the same lines. Curiosity doesn't really have a place in that environment. And so I think for us, in kind of exploring curiosity, we've really discovered that this is essential, right? For clients, folks that we're working with, they are experts. We are not the only experts in the room when we're guiding clients through a set of decisions. We may have some technical expertise, some background, and some information that goes really deep on certain subjects and could help them. But our clients are experts in themselves and experts in what's important to them. And so curiosity ultimately is important to clients so that they can ask the questions of themselves that they can bring to the table, and then we can help them with. So they can say, I want to do X, Y, or Z. And here are the reasons why we want to do that. And then we can help them along the way from there.
Right. And so I before you said it, I wrote it down. Clients are experts in themselves. And like the first question we literally ask people is, what are you trying to accomplish? Where do you want to go with your money? Where do you want to be in the future? And what do you want this to mean to you? And so like that takes some thinking and like being curious about what you can actually accomplish in life. That drives me essentially. It's like, just asking that question to myself, like, what can I accomplish? What can I accomplish with this business? What can I accomplish with like exercise? What can I accomplish with my family, just in life in general? And so I think it's like that driving question sort of is, I should say that is the driving question of how we sort of start engagement with a client. And it's super important for clients to take that step back and get curious about where they want to be in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in so many instances, the answers, to any set of questions that our clients face the answers often lie within themselves rather than coming from us. We may have some technical know-how and experience that can help them get there in a way that really makes sense. But we don't have all the answers for them, right? So, it's, curiosity empowers clients to understand their situation, understand how they can use their finances as a tool to help them achieve what they want to achieve. And curiosity helps them to really explore what it is they want to achieve, right? Why just trudge ahead aimlessly? It's important to sit down and reflect and think about what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Right. And that's sort of what a lot of people do when they start out in their careers. They just sort of start saving money and they just sort of are on this sort of aimless path. And just imagine what somebody could accomplish if they really sat down at a younger age and say, here's where I want to go. It might drive you further, it might drive you harder, it might give you more inspiration to actually get that. And it doesn't mean it's going to be exact and it's not going to change, but at least it gives you that sort of goal or that place to reach just by stepping back and thinking about it.
Yeah, I think what you just said is spot on. It's where do I want to go? That question is, the answers to that are limitless, right? That's something that you can spend years trying to explore, but you got to start somewhere. And that's the process that, we go through with clients, is to ask that question, where do you want to go? Why? What else do you want to achieve? Really begin to explore that in more depth.
Yeah. The other place where I find it really helpful is, I got to sort of be careful how I say this, like the way the mind works is you start out with thinking like, I can't do this, or I don't have the ability to save, or I'm never going to reach that objective. The mind just sort of, you have this idea and then the mind just puts doubts all over it. You know what I mean? And so like what I've learned to do in my life, which has been pretty powerful, when I can do this, it's really hard to stop and ask this question, but it's like, what if I actually can save more money? What if I can actually run an extra mile or complete this marathon? Like just asking that question, like, what if? it gives you, at least in my experience, it gives you a lot of motivation to actually accomplish something instead of like automatically saying, that's going to be too hard, or I can't do that, or, that's not me, or, I'm never going to reach that goal, So it's just shifting from, that sort of some negative thoughts which creep into our minds to some, hey, let me put some inspiration out there about what if I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, it's that kind of counterbalance to conformity. This counterbalance, curiosity is a counterbalance to just accepting a status quo without actually asking the question. And the question may be all it takes to get you there to a place where you can look at it, look at the numbers. What works? What is the state of affairs? What's the reality right now? And when you're asking that question, as it relates to yourself, I mean, what else could have a deeper meaning, right? Than to want to ask those questions about yourself and, for your life. And that's where curiosity has a place.
Yeah, no doubt. And so that's really from the client's perspective, and we understand like why it's so important for them to sort of look to the future and try and take or get a sense of what they want to accomplish or what they can accomplish. But let's take it to advisor, like our role. You talked about this idea of being the expert in the room. And a lot of times, like that's what clients feel like they're coming to us for is, hey, I need this expert to tell me um, that I'm going to have enough money or where to save my money. But that expert can be meaningless if they don't take the time to be curious about where they want to, where you as a client want to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I think that's, in this kind of traditional arrangement of an expert and a non-expert asks the expert a question, they get answer ABC 1, 2, 3, and we're done, right? But it started with a question and it ended with an answer. But I think when you really fold in curiosity, oftentimes what you get a question. You don't get necessarily an answer, but you get a direction. Where do you want to take this question now? What do you want to do with this question? I mean, you could just give a simple, I just had an example today. Had a phone call with someone and, she had a really important travel goal. And it's really been delayed gratification. It's been a long time coming. And has always been talking about, travel. And there's this question, I don't really know if I can afford it. And like you said earlier, it's exploring over the years. Hey, let's just take a look at it anytime. Let's take a look at it. So the question basically was, I want to take this really exciting cruise, in Europe, multiple countries. It really sounded excellent. Can I afford it? Well, you could simply provide an answer, yep or no. But that doesn't put any meaning behind it. So we had a great conversation about, well, hey, we'll get to that, but let's just talk about, okay, what's the current situation with income and expenses elsewhere this year? Let's couch this expense within the context of everything else that you want to achieve, and then just take a look at it objectively. And that's what we did in the span of 20 minutes. We directed that question through a series of tests and throughout a conversation, and we got an answer. But the answer wasn't just yes. It was, yes, you can do this with confidence. You can feel comfortable doing this. And I think if it was missing that piece, then, you might go on that trip. You might take that trip, but you might feel uneasy about it. You might have buyer's remorse about it.
Well, so there's that piece of the puzzle, which is like, you want to be able to go on the trip, enjoy it because you've been, you've asked the right questions, you can afford it. But like, I think like it's important to even go a little bit like deeper in some cases, like, what's the meaning of this trip to you? And, understanding like for some people, like they may value a trip with their family more than, having a lot of money left over at the end of their life to pass on. And it could be the reverse for some people. They may want to skip the trip, save all their money so that they can pass on the future generations. And my point is really like, it's just to get away from that answer of like yes or no, because like we may look at it as like a financial question, like yes or no. But this is somebody's life we're talking about. Like, they may never have another opportunity to do this. You don't know what's going to happen in your life. You know when you're going to get sick, and
Yeah.
so like weighing those factors, I think is valuable when you're working with somebody in terms of trying to help them make a decision on whether they want to do something like a big trip or something like that. Like, I think it's important to take that into consideration.
Without a doubt. And I'll say in this particular situation, we've had those great conversations in the past before the actual reality of, hey, it's time. I really want to go ahead and start doing these things that I've always wanted to do was here. We had those conversations to begin to explore what is important to you. Is there a trade-off? You taking the trip at the expense of leaving money, through your estate, those types of questions and conversations. And I think I just want to point out that it really is, it's a process. Curiosity, if it's at the core of what we're doing, then it's not just present in one moment. It's present throughout an entire relationship. And you build upon that curiosity so you can get to a point where, you can have that answer, yes, with confidence.
Yeah, and so that's a really good point. I'm going to just elaborate on it a little bit before we move on. It's like in our industry, what we found, and I hear this amongst a lot of different advisors, like, hey, I provided advice to someone and they never really implemented that advice. And I think like that's hard to do. Like being told what to do, you often don't do things, but if you can make that decision that you're going to do something on your own, it becomes more powerful. And so when you're in the advisor role and you're asking questions and you're trying to understand and you're trying to listen, it will allow the client to feel, seen and heard. They'll feel better about their decisions that they make. They'll feel like it's their decision, and so it's more meaningful and gives our clients a better chance of implementing, advice. I think it's important.
I think it's what we all want, right? If I'm talking to you and I've got an important question, I don't want you to just say, not listen to me, just tell me what to do. Like, I would want you to ask for more. And even if I'm not initially willing to or begin to tell you kind of some of the deeper reasons behind why it is I want to do what I want to do, if you're there on the other side and you're asked, and I tell you something, you say, what else? And you say, why is that important? It's that second answer, it's that third answer that really, if it's me, it is the space that I need to really be heard and to know that you have heard me and can give me the right answer for my situation.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I mean, we're sort of patting ourselves on the back a little bit here, and we're going on and on about like why curiosity is important, and it's important to us. Like, it's important for anybody going through a financial planning or trying to understand their finances, and whether they're working with us or someone else, to be curious about, who their advisor is, what they're trying to accomplish, all those different things. So, I mean, I haven't actually watched this show, but I've been sent the YouTube video a couple different times, and I actually love the Ted Lasso quote. Have you seen that?
I've seen Ted Lasso. Yeah, it's good.
You seen the quote when he's throwing the darts?
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to remind me what it is.
So it's an episode, I guess. I don't know the show. All I've seen is the scene where he's playing darts with somebody, and I guess he's way behind, and it's an important situation, and he's got 3 darts left to throw, and he's got to get a certain number of points, and so he goes through this whole spiel, and his quote is, guys have underestimated me my entire life, and for years I never understood why. And he said it used to really bother me. Then one day I was driving by my little boy to school, and I saw a quote by Walt Whitman. It was painted on the wall, and it said, "Be curious, not judgmental." And then he goes on to say, like, "Hey, look, if you would have just stepped back and said, 'Hey, Ted, have you ever played darts before?' I would have answered, 'Yes, every Sunday, for 6 years with my father for 4 hours a day, he hits the dart,' and so forth." So we're going to roll that video here to end with it. It's a super powerful thing. And, just trying to take the time to understand what somebody's going through and what their life's been like, I think is just really important. And so that's sort of our mission as a firm is and that's why we have that name Curio, and it's super motivating to us.
If for sure, and in so many ways, as I was thinking about our conversation today, I was just kind of drawing the idea that curiosity, it really is, it contrasts with judgment. And if you're coming from a place of curiosity and you're asking why, it's very different than if you're coming from a place of judgment and asking why. It's the same question, but it's totally different. And there's just, and like, you said, we're patting ourselves on the back, but, so much about, curiosity and coming to this name, I think it's really, it's part and parcel of kind of personal growth, right? When we're sitting there with our clients, it's not just us in the room, right?
Right.
We're in partnership, and we want to be in partnership and collaboration with our clients. That's what we believe. And the best tool that we have for that is curiosity. The terrific side benefit is that if we're focused on that, then we're improving ourselves at the same time. We're on our own journeys of personal growth. And, if we're committed to that and committed to a genuine desire for understanding about what's going on in our clients' lives, that's helping us at the end of the day. So,
Well, Jake, we're 21 minutes into this thing, and if anybody stays to watch, and here's your quote about like one of the greatest tools we have is curiosity, they'll learn something, because I just love that when you said that's really awesome. Like it is a great tool and can really help you accomplish a lot of things. So anyways, we appreciate everybody joining us, taking the time to watch. We're going to start creating more of these, more on financial topics like we had been doing in the past. And so if you're curious and you want to learn more and you want to get some information and you can get through our banter, then we'd love to have you join us, on more of these podcasts. So thank you for joining us, and give us a like or a follow or ask us a question. We'd greatly appreciate it.
thanks, everybody. And I'll just say it, even though it's cheesy, stay curious.